I'm Sir Henry Fraser. I'm a retired professor of the University of the West Indies at the Cave Hill campus in Barbados, and we have the only truly international university in the world where we have full campuses in 3 different independent countries with a campus population in Barbados of some 8,000 students. I retired 4 years ago, and I spend most of my time now, when I'm not in my garden or spending time with my wife or at the beach swimming, I spend a lot of time on writing and historic preservation and promotion. So my passion really has been architectural history and promoting the heritage of Barbados, which is extremely rich. It's one of the oldest settled colonies of Great Britain, settled in 1627. And so we were building all kinds of things, including our Jewish synagogue in 1654. And we have a very rich architectural heritage, which I do my best to promote. And one of my books, in fact, the Barbados Chattel Houses, with Bob Kiss, a famous photographer from New York, is actually on sale here this evening. And my mission here is both to promote the Barbados-Carolina connection and to get new information, new data, new facts, new research, and splendid new photographs for the second edition of my book, The Barbados-Carolina Connection, with historian Warren Alleyne. The roundtable event held this morning, organized by Rhoda Green with Ms. McCollum as chair, and with Markley Wilson, tourism consultant out of New York, a representative of the Barbados Tourism Agency. We all came together with a group of people from Charleston who were connected in one way or the other. It included people like Stephen Hoffius, who has edited, he's a publisher who has edited a collection of papers from the South Carolina Journal about the connection between Barbados and the Carolinas. That's Stephen Hoffius. And then we had people like John Rashford, professor of anthropology, who at the College of Charleston. He specializes in spiritual trees, and he's been down to Barbados many times photographing the great old trees of Barbados. And there were a variety of people with an interest in tourism, in economics and commerce and investment, people with an interest in culture, in food, and so on. So we had a debate this morning discussing the opportunities for exploiting the heritage. What was quite apparent and what occupied much of the discussion was the fact that moving people between places is both popular and productive. And for people to understand a country, they've got to talk to each other. So they've got to go places, they've got to get around. So one of the things we discussed was the importance of people moving back and forth between the Carolinas and Barbados for opportunities for us to exploit our heritage. And we made the point that historic Bridgetown, the capital of Barbados, historic Bridgetown and its garrison is now a UNESCO inscribed World Heritage Site. And Charleston, of course, having been settled in 1670, with this amazing heritage that you preserved here, is another historic site. You're not yet UNESCO inscribed, but we hope it will be. And we think that the Barbados example of a rather diffuse site with many historic buildings but many private properties is a good example for Charleston to follow, because Charleston is certainly historically very, very rich.
The Connection Project really takes a look at the historic and cultural connection between the island of Barbados and South Carolina. It's a number of different things, from architecture to education to history to culture to foodways. So we're just looking at different ways to take those connections that are historic in nature and move forward into the future and build and continue to write on that history. It's a passion, and that passion I caught from Rhoda and Robert Green over 12 years ago, and I can really see it growing in magnitude, and I see other people getting involved, which is very fulfilling. But just knowing that we're taking a history and a heritage of a people and a country and a place and making that relevant today is very exciting.
came about 31 years ago when I was the director of tourism for Barbados for the United States. At that time, I became aware of connections that were being talked about between this city and our island. But whether or not they were true, I didn't know, and many others didn't know. And out of that, planned a 3-week tour to Charleston with those two gentlemen, Warren Alleyne and Henry Fraser, and myself, and someone also from the Ministry of Culture in Barbados. And we toured Charleston and Columbia and had a variety of meetings with different people to get together what the facts were. As an outcome of that research tour, Henry and Warren wrote a book about the connections between Charleston and Barbados. And that book led to inspiration of many people, including someone who I got a call from soon after the book was published, who said, "I'm Rhoda Green, and I live in Charleston, and I just read this book, and I find it really interesting." And we then started working together, and me facilitating her in doing what she could to take the information to another step, such as introducing her to the people that we had met with before, etc. And it's all grown since then. The most important fact for the people in this area is that we are connected. You know, it's one thing to have a visitor who know nothing about you, who's just there to see the main attractions and disappear. It's another thing to have a visitor who has a connection with you. And for Charleston, the connections between our home and your home in Charleston is incredible. The first boat that came here to populate Charleston when this was a colony came from Barbados, and it landed at the place called Charleston Landing. And the passengers on that boat were plantation owners from Barbados and their slaves. And that continued so that these leaders from Barbados gave places in Charleston the names of places in Barbados that they came from, so that Richmond Bowens, who we met when we first went 30 years ago to one of the plantations, who opened the gate for us, started speaking to us with a Barbadian accent. And he had never been to Barbados, but it was clear that he was a descendant of a Barbadian slave. So those are the kinds of reasons why there is great reason for people from Charleston and people from Barbados to connect with each other. We are, in many ways, family.
There's no other island in the whole Caribbean that has as much history and culture, direct access with the locals. You're not sitting on resorts just isolated. It's the easiest island in the world to get around. The infrastructure is amazing. $1.50 will get you anywhere. There's so many activities. We've got the Food, Wine, and Rum Festival coming up. Chefs from all over the world come in, and you dine around. Amazing. I've been chasing this job since 1983. I went to Barbados as a travel agent and became enchanted with the island, and based a great portion of my career in promoting Barbados. And so I've had special projects, but then they had a reorganization and contacted me, and so I asked me to join the team, and I am thrilled. It's a job I've been waiting for a long time.
Tourism is one of the major foreign exchange earners for Barbados. And there's several aspects of tourism. So we're using heritage, or historical heritage is one aspect that we can use to develop another sort of part of the tourism product. And Rhoda, who is very interested in this, the history and the heritage links between Charleston and Barbados, she's just the right person to get that going. So I'm here to support many of her efforts. You have to try to keep your edge to survive. And so we're trying to do that. Following the sort of world recession, it's been very difficult for us to come out of that recession. So anything to help our economy is even better.
When someone has passion, it is worth respecting and cultivating, because this is all to do with the passion of Rhoda and recognizing that passion and then supporting it. And that theory should be applied to kids, to adults, to anyone who has passion. We all need to identify and support people with passion whenever possible, regardless of what the passion is about.